Hi, my name is Judge, and you are watching my full 135 card Murder at Nathria Castle. Murder at Castle Nathria Arena review. We're going to go ahead and review these cards in order of release. So starting with the first card that was released of the set, that would be Prince Renethal. 3 mana, 3/4. Your deck size and starting health are 40. Easy one here. This card will not be in Arena. It is banned instantly. Too bad, too. Would be pretty cool to see how that would interact with your draft. Drafting 40 cards once you pick this up could be really nice, but not going to happen this time around. It is banned. Next up, and our real first card, is Primordial Wave, a shaman nature spell that reads transform enemy minions into ones that cost 1 less, and friendly minions into ones that cost 1 more. So this is quite simply an evolve and a devolve slammed together into one giant wave. And normally, when you take a card that's decent, and you take another card that's decent, and you slam it into one card, it becomes really, really good. This is a little different because the effects do such different things. They kind of do such opposite things. I feel like there's 2 ways to go about evaluating this card. One is looking at it as a simultaneous evolve-devolve, and the other is looking at it as a flexible one or the other. I think that the latter is going to be more realistic. How often do you really have a board of wide minions you want to evolve, even just a couple minions you want to evolve, and your opponent has, a good board of stuff you want to devolve? You don't have to hit a ton of minions, I guess, to get the swing, so maybe it could be okay. But I feel like it's going to be just a little bit inconsistent to make that swing happen. I think more likely this is going to just be like a timely evolve or a timely devolve to get rid of a particular threat. It's an interesting one. This one's pretty tough to evaluate because, when you slam 2 cards together, this does a lot of stuff, potentially. But I'm just thinking that the inconsistency of having a good time to play this might make you wish you had a playable card in hand more often. Gonna be very fun to try and just see how much value you need to get on the board in order to make this worth it. But I feel like it might just be a little bit inconsistent. We'll have to see. Next up we have Priest of the Deceased, a 2 mana 2/3 taunt, neutral, with Infuse 3, gain +2/+2. So this is our first Infuse card, so I'll give you a little rundown on how Infuse works. It's very simple. Infuse simply means you infuse friendly minions that die from the battlefield into this card. So you need 3 friendly minions to die on the battlefield while this is in your hand to gain its effect. So 3 friendly minions die, this gains +2/+2 in hand, and then you have a 2 mana 4/5 taunt. Very simple. 2 mana 4/5 taunt? Yeah, that's busted. So how easy is it to infuse 3 while this is in your hand? I think that really depends on the class you're playing, on the style of deck you're playing. Aggro decks are going to absolutely love this. You play a 1-coin 1. Maybe one of your 1s has a death rattle that summons a minion. All of a sudden, this is coming down on maybe turn 3 or 4 for cheap with big stats. Really good in aggro decks. In slower decks, it's going to be a little tougher to pull off that infuse. However, 2 mana 2/3 taunt is a completely fine card in Arena. In fact, it's a good card in Arena. So sometimes you'll just have to play this on turn 2 and just be happy you have Curve. For that reason, because it's so good, just fine without the infuse, I think this card's going to be great. And when you play it as a 2 mana 5/4, it's going to be really good. Either it's going to be busted in an aggro deck, or it's just going to be really strong in the mid game. Maybe not crazy busted, kind of like a gear grubber, really, really strong. I really like the looks of this. I think it's going to be a strong neutral. Next up, we have our first draftable legendary of the set, Murloc Holmes. It is a 3 mana 3/4 Murloc with a battle cry that is a clue, or rather, a mystery itself. Battle cry: solve 3 clues about your opponent's cards and get copies of them. So here's how this works. You are going to be asked 3 questions about your opponent's hand and deck in this order. 1, it's going to ask you which of these cards started in your opponent's hand at the beginning of the game. And it's going to give you Discover style 3 options to choose from. So you choose one, and if you get it right, then you go on to question number 2, which is which of these cards is currently in your opponent's hand. Same thing, you get the discovers, you pick. If you get that right, then you get a third question, which is, which of these 3 cards is in your opponent's deck? And if you also get that right, then you get a copy of all 3 cards that you guessed. So, at its best, this card's insane. 3 mana 3/4, add 3 cards to your hand is nuts. However, if you get even a single question wrong, you're done, game over, no cards for you. So you can't get 1 or 2 cards. It's all or nothing, and that's pretty tough. Most of the time, this is just going to be a 3 mana 3/4, which is not what you love to see for a legendary minion. And it's really hard to guess what people have in Arena, because everyone has all sorts of cards. Now, there will be ways to increase your chances. There are going to be cards that are more common to draft in Arena that you can pick for the final question. You might have some hints already about what's in their hand. Lower cost cards in their starting hand or cards they've already played. But it's gonna be tough to make this consistent. Super, super fun though. I for sure will be trying this out and seeing if I can guess it right. Super fun. Just thinking as far as how good it is might fall a little bit shorter due to the difficulty of getting all the clues right in Arena. Next up, we have a brand new type of card, a location card for warriors. So how these location cards work is the mana cost is the same, 1 mana to play Sanguine Depths here. The armor in the bottom right is actually durability, so that's how many times you can use the effect that's in the text box there. The only stipulation then is you can use it 3 times, but you can only do it once per turn, and you have to wait a turn on cooldown in between uses. So it's a long-term card. So let's take a look at this one. 1 mana, 3 durability, deal 1 damage to a minion, and give it +1 attack. 1 mana, deal 3 is not terrible. It's pretty slow here. Reminds me a bit of like a Worse Light's Justice as far as dealing damage. You can also give your minions attack, which you're also dealing damage to them. Not really great for tempo. So I feel like this is gonna maybe not be super great as far as locations. We'll probably see some, definitely 100% see some way better ones coming pretty shortly. But I guess if you have synergies, like this is gonna be a card I think you need enraged synergies for it to be like really good. It's fine. Like a Bad Light's Justice is still good. 1 mana, find 3 pings, not terrible, and you get to keep it on the board for a while. But I feel like for the cost of a card in hand, when there's so many powerful cards coming and in existence, that this might not be one that you're actually adding as much as you think. Next up, we get another legendary. This is Decimator Ulgra, a 6 mana 3/7 with the battlecry Grain. With the battlecry, gain +1/+1 for each damaged minion, then attack all enemies. So, in order to know how good this card is, we just need to look at how many stats does it need to gain to be good. And I think the answer is maybe +1/+1 and it's good, right? Maybe +0/+0 and it still could be good. This does not need to gain that many stats to be a good card. Board dependent, of course. If they have a wide board, small stuff, meeting stone, stuff like that, this is going to be amazing. Going to clear up anything in its path. If it gets like +2, +2, +3, +3, this becomes busted. This becomes insane. It goes face as well, right? It's also reach. Just a few pings. Maybe there's a reason to actually have your Sanguine Depths, as you can just get a ping in and then get some more stuff on the Ulgar. Maybe there will be more enraged synergy coming for Warrior, but this looks really good. Reminds me of Deathwing Mad Aspect, except it's a little smaller, sure, but it also can't hit your own minions. This is only enemies. Really, really strong AoE. That high health mark makes it very, very good, and a huge high roll potential. Looks like a very, very strong legendary. Next up, we get another very, very strong and, well, okay, mostly cool legendary, and that is Baroness Vodge, the Shaman 4 mana 3/6 Naga. Very cool text on this. If this would transform into a minion, summon that minion instead. So this could have synergy with your new drafted Primordial Wave. You get a random 5 cost and also get to keep the Vodge. Very, very cool. Also could mean if we see more Evolve synergies coming in, we could see some really cool stuff with Vodge. Imagine playing an Unstable Evolution on this. You just get a board full of 5/5s right off the bat. Really awesome. Another cool thing about this is that it plays around removal that would come in the form of transforming. So if you're getting hit by polymorph, hex, you're actually just going to summon those 1/1s. So it's hex proof and polymorph proof, which is pretty funny. Somebody's going to make that mistake. If you get that old 6/6 card that summons a fantastic invention and it tries to turn this into a chicken, won't be able to. You'll just summon a 1/1 chicken. That could come up. Very fun card. Looks super good. I'm hoping there's a lot of synergy for this card, because I would love to play this in a lot of arena decks. Evolve Shaman coming back. The stat line on it is fine. You can just play it on its own and the stat line is fine. Very cool. Next, we have a rogue spell called Door of Shadows. It is 1 mana, and it reads, draw a spell, infuse 2, add a temporary copy of it to your hand. It's a shadow spell. What do we think? 1 mana, draw 2 sounds really, really good. 1 mana, draw 1 doesn't sound as good, but it is a spell, making it maybe actually pretty enticing. Tutoring a specific spell in Arena can be really good. Blood in the Water, Assassinate. Maybe you're looking for your Tooth of Nefarian or Recon. Obviously, you don't get to choose which spell you're drawing, but often you don't have that many spells in Arena, so you're kind of going to have a good idea or a high chance at hitting what you want. The Infuse is definitely a very, very nice bonus, but I might even be drafting this without the Infuse. 1 mana, draw a spell, combo stuff. It's not going to be insane, but it's going to be fine. Good combo enabler. The Infuse makes it very, very good, though. You can look for extra copies of Hard Removal. You can look for extra reach. Maybe you get Eviscerate or Wicked Stab as you're dealing a ton of face damage. I think that's going to be pretty versatile and actually better than it looks. Next, we have another location. This is a Shaman location, 1 mana, 3 durability, Muck Pools. Transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more, and that is just a lovely piece of Evolve synergy to add to this legendary. This card is extremely strong. 3 Evolve Lackeys? You don't get the 1/1s, but 3 Evolve Lackeys just for 1 mana right in your hand? Crazy. Not really much can interact with these locations. Only cards that specifically say they can interact with locations can do anything to them. So you can just wait, bide your time, wait till you make a great value trade and upgrade your 3/1 into a 4-drop or upgrade your 4/2 into a 5-drop, and you can get some really good tempo for very little mana. This card looks insane. Looks like it's going to be really fun to put into your Vodge deck, to put into your Vodge draft. And just looks like a really, really strong card. This kind of blows out the warrior location by quite a bit. Really strong. Next up we have one of the most interesting cards I've seen so far. 1 mana, 1/3 Suspicious Usher. Battle Cry. Discover a legendary minion. If your opponent guesses your choice, they get a copy. This is a priest card, and it looks hilarious. So in Arena, discovering a legendary can be game deciding. There's Colossals, Raid Boss Onyxia, Ysera, Crazy Dragons, lots of new legendaries coming out. Legendaries are very good, but they're less good when you also give your opponent a copy of it. So let the mind games begin. You maybe decide to choose the second best legendary, so your opponent guesses the first. Maybe you take the worst one just to get something, not give your opponent anything depending on the situation. It's worth noting, your opponent doesn't get to guess immediately. They wait until the start of their next turn. So if you play the legendary right away, they're going to easily know what it is. Another thing about this card is discovering something for yourself, even if your opponent gets a copy, can still just be really good. There's a 4 mana 5/5 pirate where you discover a copy of your opponent's card in their deck and you both draw it. But often you're taking something that really benefits you and not really your opponent. For example, if your opponent is beating you with a lot of small tokens on the board and you don't really have AoE to deal with them, you can use this. Say you get a Barongeddon. You take that Barongeddon, your opponent's going to guess it, and take that Barongeddon, but it's going to be much better for you than it is for them. So I think this card's going to be good, and it's going to be a lot of fun to play. I'm really looking forward to testing this one out. Next up, we have a Mage Secret, Vengeful Visage. Secret: after an enemy minion attacks your hero, summon a copy of it to attack the enemy hero. This card looks very bad. This card reminds me of Eye for an Eye. It's something you don't even need to trigger right away at all, and it's easy to play around. You can just Don't attack with your giant minion. Develop a couple smaller ones. No problem. Make some trades with your bigger minion first. Then go face if you have to. Very easy to play around. Rarely is this going to be good. It might win a game once, like eye for an eye, But this card seems really bad. Too easy to play around. Too expensive for such an effect. Not good. Next we get a druid location, lots of locations today, called Hedge Maze. Trigger a friendly minion's death rattle. When I first looked at this, I thought it was a rogue card, and I started getting ready to review this as a rogue card, because it seems like a rogue card. Death Rattle Druid. Not really a ton of druid death rattles out there. Maybe that means there's going to be more printed in this set, probably. For Arena, this card is going to be, of course, great if you have good death rattles, and complete garbage if you don't. Kind of reminds me a bit of a Necrium Blade, where it's not, you don't really want a 3/2 weapon in Rogue when you have Dagger, but if you have good death rattles, Necrium Blade is insane. I think the same is going to be true for Hedge Maze, where it's going to be not something you pick up if you don't have death rattles in your deck, because it's going to be a waste of space. But if you happen to have a couple real strong death rattles, then, maybe you drafted a Cairn, and you also have like a couple Stubborn Suspects, and maybe a 5-mana 1/1 that summons a 5/8 with Taunt, right? If you happen to have all that, yeah, go for it. Put the Hedge Maze in your deck. Other than that, I think it's going to be just not good. Going to be interesting to see what Druid death rattles come out, how common they are. It's super fun. It's very fun. 2 durability on this. You get 2 triggers for 3 mana. You're going to need some stuff pretty quick. You're going to need the synergy, or this is just going to be too slow as you're sitting waiting for a death rattle that might not show up, or it might just be a dead card. So I think mostly weak, but in the right deck, fire. Next we have another location, Priest location, Cathedral of Atonement. It's got 3 durability, and it gives a minion +2/+1, and draws a card. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. 3 mana, draw 3 with a 6/3 charge attached to it, essentially. Of course, it's going to be slower. You got to wait that turn in between. Remember, you can't just do them all 3 turns in a row. But the amount of stuff packed into this 3 mana card and the consistency of it is amazing. This reminds me a bit of Alliance Bannerman, where you play a small tempo turn with 3 mana initially, but it's so good because of the payout you end up getting is so high. And I think that's the case with this card too, where it's low tempo on turn 3 or whenever it comes down, but the payoff is so good that it doesn't matter. Really strong location. Okay, next we have a 2-mana 2/2 Volatile Skeleton. Death Rattle, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. It's pretty much a 2-mana bomb. What's that, 3-mana 2/2, deal 4 damage bomb? It can be okay sometimes. Usually it's not super good. That's what this looks like. But the purpose of this card is not to be good on its own. Much like Piranhas from Sunken City, this card is draftable and it's collectible, but the main purpose of this card is to get Volatile Skeletals on the board through other cards. So we're going to see a few other cards that use Volatile Skeleton in a little bit here. We're going to look at one in a second, and then in part 2, we'll take a look at all the other mage synergies with Volatile Skeleton. So let's take a look at our final card, the big Volatile Skeleton card, Kel'Thuzad the Inevitable. It's an 8-mana 6/8, as KT would be, with the battle cry, resurrect your Volatile Skeletons. Any that can't fit on the battlefield instantly explode, meaning their death rattle would deal 2 damage to a random enemy. Face is also a valid target. So, very clearly, this card is either terrible if you have no Volatile Skeletons. Have I said, I almost said Elemental. Have I said Elementals? It just rolls off the tongue. Resurrect your Volatile Skeletons. So if you have 0, it's not going to be good. If you have 12, that's going to be extremely OP. So the question is, how easy is it going to be to get Volatile Skeletons on your board throughout the game? And of course, that's going to depend on how good are these Volatile Skeleton cards that I'm going to review in part number 2. And I'll give you a little spoiler. The answer is, there's a number of good ones. Say there's 3 very consistent, very strong cards that summon Volatile Skeletons, and therefore I think this is going to be a good card in Arena. You're not going to pick it up on pick number 23 with no volatile skeletons, but I think that the volatile skeleton cards coming out are strong enough to make this a very big threat. So I'm thinking that this is going to work. Of course, completely dependent on the other cards, which we will take a look at in part number 2, as that is our 15th card. So be sure to check that one out. Thank you very much for watching. If you disagree with any of my picks, if you have anything else you'd like to add, feel free. Let me know in the comments below, and we'll take a look at the next 15 cards in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.